Good afternoon, PJ. Good afternoon, everyone. As soon as the PJ comes back, we will get started.
Good afternoon, CJ.
Okay. Sorry, did you need to take a small break or we can go ahead and
No,
get
no,
started?
no. I was just plugging my cell phone.
Okay. All right. So
Good afternoon, Your Honors.
good afternoon, everyone. It is 12:30, and so we are going to get started. And the Public Defender Service Corporation Board of Trustees regular meeting of April. Let me say that again. The Public Defender Service Corporation Board of Trustees regular scheduled meeting of April 26, 2022 is now called to order. At this time, I will ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Chief Justice F. Philip Carbolito.
I am present and I am logged on from the Judicial Center in Hagåtña.
Presiding Judge Alberto C. Lamoreno III.
Present, I'm at the Judicial Center in Agana.
Trustee Cynthia Villa Cubie.
Good afternoon, Your Honors and fellow Board of Trustees. I am present and I'm here located in my office in Hagåtña.
Trustee Donna Muña Canata.
Day, I am present and I am here at my office in East Agana.
Guam Bar President Jackie T. Chalahi.
All right, Jackie will probably be joining us later on in the meeting. The secretary has ascertained that we have a quorum. We have 4 of 5 board members present. Due notice of the meeting was regularly made in reference to the publication as required under Guam law. So I am able to confirm that we are able to conduct the regular business of the corporation at this meeting. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the meeting of March 23rd, 2022. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved, subject to correction.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Those opposed, it's been unanimously adopted. There's been a request by Attorney Ekubi that we start under new business because she has a court matter that she needs to be present at and has to leave us at about 1:30. And it's important that we act on the budget of the APD, and the Public Defender Service Corporation and the APD so it can be properly, timely transmitted to the legislature. And so is there any objection to that request?
No objection.
No objection.
All right, there being no objection, the first item for discussion is under new business, a Public Defender Service Corporation FY 2023 budget request. And at this time, I will recognize our Executive Director, Mr. Steve Hattori, along with our Administrative Director, Ms. Kathy Ann Gogui.
Okay, good afternoon, board. Ms. Gogui will be presenting our budget to the board. Mr. Moreno is also here, as well as Mr. Morrison, to answer any questions that the board may have. Basically, it's we believe it's a rollover budget. Most of the increases are related to organic growth increments and other increases in benefits. We are going to ask the legislature to give our board the authority to increase pay for both our law enforcement employees as well as our line staff, consistent with what the judiciary is pursuing. And so we're hoping to convince the legislature to authorize our board to have that authority. They provided that authority to various other independent boards like the CCU. So we're hoping that we can get support for them to give our board that authority as well. And so Ms. Gogui's prepared to present our request. FY 2023.
So Your Honor, if we could get the board to, we began the presentation on page 16. You have the resolution before you with the associated budget amounts that both PD and APD are requesting. For PDSC is 5.7 and for APD is 1.5. That's on the screen before the board. So if we can begin with our presentation for Public Defender Board, the Public Defender PDSC. I'd like to go to page, page 18. What we'll be covering is budget comparisons, then our budget requests for personnel and operations, and then we actually go through the budget line items for operations. So we'll go through all the details with the board. If we went to page 19, what we show here is what we requested in our FY budgets for 20 to 23 and what the difference was for prior year. So if we compared our FY 2020 amount that we requested to the legislature, it was 4.8, and we compared it to FY 2019, it was an increase of 3%. In FY 2021, there was an increase of 6%, and in FY 22 was an increase of 13% for the prior year. So that's the slide that compares what we requested to what we actually for the previous year. Next slide, please. So in this slide here, we share with what our budget amounts were compared to the general fund. And as you can see in the percentage of what we had requested for compared to the general fund, we hover less than 1% of what is available through the general fund for what we asked for with Public Defender. Next slide. The comparison with what was authorized and what the difference was, I highlighted FY 2020. That was probably our best year, where we got 4.7 million. And then in FY 2021, they cut our budget by 4.5. Then in 2022, they brought it back up to 4.7. And in FY 2023, we are hopeful that we will get the 6.1 that we're requesting. So for FY 2022, down below with the notes, when we requested FY 2022 in the amount of 5.2, what was actually authorized was 4.7, and that's up from above. There was a shortfall of 5.7, 573,000 from what we requested and what was authorized. So from that authorized amount of 4,708, the amount of our expenses, and we calculated this based on the first 6 months, and the remainder of the 6 months comes up to 5.4 million of what it would cost us to finish the fiscal year. And we anticipate a shortfall in FY 2022 at 707,107. Next slide. Don't go up too fast. So in the budget comparison with our authorized, to the general fund, we put that percentage down below as to what we're still less than 1% of GovOne's total general fund budget or appropriation. And so we hover at about 0.7%. And so in FY 2022, what our anticipated expenses are, and that was shown in the previous slide, what we requested and the shortfall of 133 based on our request. And in FY 2023, we're asking for 6.1. Based on the general fund revenues for FY 2023, we're anticipating that they'll probably give us 5.5. We're going to try to suggest that they stay in the amount that we're requesting of 6.1. If they do give us 5.5 million for FY 2023, we'll be short by 582,000 in FY 2023. Next slide. So in breaking down our FY 2023 expenses, we show what the bulk of our expenses are for, and it's personnel, and that's like any government agency or business. Personnel is the biggest cost at 81%. We're requesting for a pay adjustment as the executive director had suggested. to fix the parity issues that may occur due to the 18% executive order provided by the governor, and then what we need for operations at 4%, 14%. And as you can see from that slide below, you see the pay adjustment for law enforcement. We wanted to follow the judiciary because we do believe that we fall in line with the judiciary at 7% for our law enforcement officers and 6% for our non-law enforcement officers, for the support staff, which is something that the Judicial Council suggested or approved for the team at Judiciary. Next slide, please. So honing in on just the personnel cost, you could see that from FY 2022, the column, the darker blue, what our expenses are for personnel salaries is 2.9. The benefits is 304. The insurance benefits is about 282, bringing that grand total to 4.1 million for FY 2022. Expenses and encumbrances as we close out FY 2022. For the proposed, we're looking at a $4.9 million budget for FY 2023, which is an increase of 19%. Next. So when we came up with the increase for personnel, we looked at organic growth. What would organic growth? And this is just a general ballpark figure. We took an investigator too, and we came up with a $4,000 anticipated organic growth. That's the benefits, which includes insurance, health insurance, retirement, and we came up with approximately $4,815 per employee for organic growth. So what we did was we took the 4,850 and we multiplied that by our personnel staffing needs of 63, and we came up with next slide, of approximately 303,344.45 for organic growth, which is 6% of the entire budget that we need for FY 2023. For the pay adjustment, what we're looking at is 7% for the law enforcement, 6% for non-law enforcement. We're looking at an adjustment of about 6% for a total of 309,432. In terms of operation at 14%, we are going to go through the details of what we need for operations, and that comes up to 800,692. So we'll begin with the next slide. This is what it shows in terms of what we requested for in FY 2022. What you'll see in FY 2022 was authorized, and I know that if you look at what we're requesting for in FY 2023, you'll see significant difference in the percentage change, and that's because we didn't get what we requested for in FY 2022. So we had to make adjustments in our authorized level, and we came out short for our operations. And I'll get into detail for each of the different line items that we have. And I know that if you look at just call it the column with the percentage change, 108% is staggering. It looks really something that would concern probably the board members, and we'll go into those details in our next slide. So the 108%, the reason why that shows such a significant increase is because of what was authorized. But what we actually requested, and let me get that number for you, and if we stayed with the actual request that we submitted to the legislature, that number wouldn't be so high. But what we requested when we submitted our budget was an amount of, one second please, was an amount of $353,833, which would be a 43%. If we had that FY 2022 authorized in the amount of $353,833, our percentage change would be 43% as opposed to the 108 that you see on the screen before you. So the different line item expenses are provided that total 353, 832. Next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, stay on that side. The board may ask, what is the significance in the requested amount? And the difference that we're asking for, the major change, is our abacus license and maintenance. We're asking for 82,500. You'll see that I darkened that, I bolded that. Our actual request for FY 2022 was 29,370. Now we're asking 82,500 for a difference of 53,130. And why the significant difference is we're hoping to put our abacus, which is our case management system, in the cloud as opposed to having it the server that we're using now. Another difference is the email website hosting. We asked for, our request was 6,000. What we're asking for in FY 2023 is 13,640 with a difference of 7,640. And so that is for our web hosting. And then what we did different this fiscal year is we included our contract attorney at 99,627. What we've done in the last fiscal year was we underfilled one of our vacant positions, an attorney 4 position, and now we put it under contractual in this particular budget. And so we're asking for that 99,627 to provide us with that 108% increase, or the difference between our FY 2022 authorized. Moving on to the next slide. For office rental, we're due to go out and bid for our next 5-year lease with whoever decides to take an interest in our lease or our rental. Right now, we're paying about $182 per square foot for our current location, which includes water and power. We budgeted that at $2 per square foot to bring us at 300,960, which is a 9% increase. So we're hoping that our current landlord possibly will stay within that number, or we can find a landlord who will stay in that number at $2 per square foot. I know we've looked around in Hagåtña. I know that one of the places we looked at, they were estimating a $2.42 per square foot, and that's without power and water. So we'll see how that goes. We'll have the bid out in July, and we'll know by the end of the fiscal year if we're still in Hagåtña or elsewhere. And next slide. We show a slight increase for supplies, and that's just to allow us to run the office with increased team members, as well as what we need to just be functional. So we went from what was authorized at 37 to 41,000, which is a 12% increase. That's not that significant. The difference of 4,000. Next. Equipment we've had, we had for our computers when we have an aging system for our computers and the battery backup, and we've replaced most of our older computers, and so we're not asking for an increase. We're actually taking that down by 11%. So the amount we're requesting for FY 2023 is 38,000. Now, this is our operations miscellaneous, and we're asking for an increase of 20%. I know that your slides may show something different. What are the significant amounts in this particular line item is we're requesting for, we have money for long distance charges as we're taking advantage of our expert witness. There are times when our attorneys need to call off items, so we budgeted that for 4,800. We've got just our normal expenses, and we've increased them slightly by 4,300. So needed increase for operations, but approximately 38%, and our total budget request, come on down there, for FY 2023 compared to FY 2022 is 12%, 22% increase. And a bulk of that, as I had presented earlier, is for personnel services. So even at the amount of 5.7, even at the amount that we're requesting at a 22% increase, we're still less than 1% of the general fund appropriation for FY 2023. Now I'm open to any questions or comments. Okay.
So at this time, I will open the floor for questions. But before, I just want one point of clarification, because I wouldn't want Mr. Moreno to be personally liable as the certifying officer of the corporation. And I just want some clarification, because I thought I heard you, Kathy, say that the expenditures exceeded the amounts appropriated. And I just want to make sure that, because I can't recall if in the Budget Act that the legislature authorized a continuing appropriation for prior year lapses for subsequent year expenses. The judiciary has that as part of the miscellaneous provisions, have been given that authority as part of our budget tools. So it allows us to use our prior year lapses for current year expenditures. And I assume that's what the public defender is doing, but is that language also included in the Budget Act for the public defender when their fiscal year budget is approved by the legislature?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because like I said, I wouldn't want Mr. Moreno as the certifying officer to be personally liable. And the second thing is,
I just want to add, Your Honor, so like last year during the budget cycle, we were in communication with the senators when our section was up for discussion. They were aware that there were some lapse funds from 2021 that we were going to be able to carry over to 2022 and expend. And so they actually, I think that's part of the reason they kind of shorted us, because they knew that we were going to make it up with the lapse funds. I think this year, if we're going to ask them if the amount that the judicial, that our board approves, if they're not going to give us that full amount, that we would ask them for specific authorization to use any lapse funds to cover the difference, a specific amount, rather than just a general lump sum authorization, use whatever lapse funds you have.
well, whatever lapse funds they authorize you to expend, you can't exceed that, because then you open up your certifying officer to personal liability. So I'm just wanting to seek clarification. The other thing is really the primary purpose of the board is to, one, set policy, and number two, approve a budget. And so if there's going to be any changes in excess of the categories authorized, I expect that management will come to the board. And so I'm making those general statements because I don't know necessarily if that's been the case. But at this time, I will open it up for discussion in reference to the particulars of the FY23 budget and the presentation that has been made. PJ, do you have anything you'd like to?
Yes, CJ, I just have a couple of questions. Can you elaborate mostly on what the contract attorney does? And that's my first question on that one. And what are his duties aside from why other attorneys in the public defender's office can't perform those duties? Since you have a whole bunch.
So the contract attorney, Your Honor, is really a retired attorney that by basically the budget law from last year, we're allowed to hire retired attorneys at up to 4 step 6 without paying any benefits. And so it costs the organization a lot less because we're not paying for retirement, we're not paying for health insurance. And so we're just moving out of the personnel side and into a contractual side.
Your Honor, can I add, for the contract attorney, what we have that individual, we kind of have that attorney walled off and they do protective orders and war claims. Because we still have that, the legislature had given us that assignment of helping with the war reparations. And now that they have this opening again for war reparations, we still have a lot of folks coming in asking for assistance.
But he is treated like a regular attorney in terms of.
So the contract attorney, what does he do then? Aside from the case assignments done at the court, does he do other things then? Can you, because
No.
that's going to be asked, what are the responsibilities? Because that's a large amount. That's about $100,000. And so, I think the public defender should be ready to explain what this contract attorney does. Does he handle cases? Does he give advice, etc.?
Yes, Your Honor. And so basically, we're using that position to underfill an existing attorney 4 slot that we didn't fill with a regular classified employee because the legislature is authorizing us to hire retired attorneys and really at a great savings to the corporation. And basically, that's the contractual amount. So we treat them like a regular attorney in terms of caseload and duties.
Now, is this contract awarded competitively? Is it put out as a contract so other attorneys who are retired or self-employed can apply for that position or for that contract?
So the way that the statute was written, he would be able to be hired as a retired. It's more like a retired attorney contract, and as long as there isn't an interested attorney willing to work full-time, then we're able to use a contract attorney. So
no, but you don't answer my question. Is it put out for bid like any other contract in the government of Guam?
Yeah, our understanding
for services, huh?
Our understanding is because he's hired as a retired attorney, there's no requirement that it be put out for bid. So there was no, but we renew it every year in the event that there is a qualified classified candidate that's eligible to fill the position.
Because I'm quite disturbed that, other attorneys can apply for this position. It becomes on who you know, not what you know. And I'm very concerned about it, especially if it's a big contract. There may be some attorneys out there that may be willing to apply for that contract as well. So I highly suggest that if this contract, once the expired contract has be put out for bid to the Guam Bar Association to see if anybody else is interested. So it gives a fair opportunity for everybody to apply, huh? Because, we do have a lot of retired attorneys that are looking for jobs too, huh?
Yes, you are. And he competed initially, the current contract attorney competed initially, but we'll do that going forward every year.
Now, how long is that present contract for, huh?
They're just annual contracts and we just renewed it once.
Yeah, because I suggest that we put it out to the bar for bidding and for interview. Because, we want to make sure that these contracts are competitive, not, it's not what we don't want this contract to be who you know. We want it to be competitive so every member of the bar, either active or inactive, has an opportunity to bid for these contracts. But it's $100,000, so it's pretty significant for a lot of people, huh?
Yes, Sean,
So-
I totally agree with you. We'll do that going forward.
Let me just say
procedure.
that, I share the PJ's concerns, but, if there is wanting to be continuity of service because the employee contracted is gains the experience and knowledge of how the public defender's policies work. I mean, the provision in the law that allows the public defender to hire retired attorneys assume, like nurses and other retirees, that they can come back, and if they're not going to give up their retirement pay, which I think the statute allows, is they're hired as a regular personnel action, but in a step 1 position. So if it's an attorney level 4 and they left at step 10 and you're going to rehire them, I think if you just put them at step 1, you're in compliance with the statute. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I believe that's how our judiciary operates. We don't have any retirees under contract or under this similar circumstance, but I recall many years ago when I looked at this, that there was a procedure, and it seems that when something is done like this, that equates to a level that, even though it's without benefits, but just the salary exceeds a level in step 1 that that may be circumventing the statute. But in any event, I share the PJ's concerns.
I have no other questions, CJ. Thank you.
QB, Attorney Ekubi, do you have any questions for our management?
Your Honor, not at this time. I did discuss this when I just my concerns previously when Ms. Gogui had forwarded the packet to me this last weekend. So I'm satisfied with at least the issues with why there is an increase as it relates to quote organic growth, specifically with the employees. So I'm essentially satisfied with what the response was, and I will now defer to our presiding judges to additional questions with relative to the proposed budget, Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney Ekubi. Donna, do you have, Trustee Kanata, do you have any questions for our management? Sorry, Donna, you are muted.
Sorry about that, sir. No questions right now. I'm satisfied with the answer that was given. Thank you, sir.
All right. Let me ask in reference to the pay adjustments. You said this follows the judiciary's, the Judicial Council's recent proposed pay adjustments that was approved by the Judicial Council. Is that correct, Kathy?
You're correct, Your Honor.
And that's 7% for law enforcement and 6% for non-law enforcement.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and when the judiciary management proposed that amount, of course they had various options. There was a study behind this pay proposal. We can't just grab out of the air figures that we would like to adjust our employees' salaries. And so was there any type of, and the legislature, of course, we want to be prepared, and if it passes a board, then it assumes that the board had done a proper scrutiny to make sure that the basis for these proposed adjustments have been completed. So did HR undertake any type of study report so that it can be produced and it shows the various methodology that goes into the Hay study was examined, and so that there can be a rationale as to, we just don't want to say that because the judiciary did it, we did it.
No, Your Honor, I know that we've been looking at the different GovLon departments and agencies of similar size to public defender. And we've been researching this for almost the last 12 months. I think what we're suggesting for law enforcement as well as non-law enforcement is pretty conservative, but we will definitely have all that information available in terms of the types of studies we did conduct locally, as well as we looked at other public defender offices off island and of similar pace. So we'll definitely have those comparisons at when we present our budget to the legislature. So that,
Okay.
and we did pay attention to the judiciary when they made the comparisons at the Judicial Council meeting back in March.
All right, good. I mean, I just want to make sure that there is a rational basis for making the proposal, and that the various FTEs were looked at, and how the impact of, proposing an 18% adjustment for law enforcement only, as the executive branch had done, would have skewed the salaries for in comparison to the non-law enforcement, like what occurred at the judiciary. I just want to make sure that we're able to come up with the proper basis in which to support the proposal of 6% adjustment. And in reference, so the amount, as you flashed those figures pretty quickly, but I think it was about 389,000 for the average of say 6.5% or 6% adjustment for the pay adjustments for the employees. And what did that amount come to again?
309.
You had organic growth at 303,345. And then the pay adjustment at 309.
Correct.
So and if you put all that together, there was about a 22% increase from in terms of the total amount of the FY23 budget as compared to the FY22 actual or requested?
Actual.
22?
Yeah.
No, that's a lot of appropriate.
Appropriated to the actual. The
Actual,
appropriated.
okay, appropriated amount, all right.
Correct.
And so without the pay adjustment, what is the increase when compared from the FY 2023 request without the pay adjustment and the FY 2022 actual? What is the percentage of increase?
Getting that for you right now, Your Honor. About 12%, Your Honor.
All right. And, and I point out to the members, the trustees, that's still well within the percentage of impact on the general fund available for appropriation. As Kathy has pointed out, it's less than 1% as in prior fiscal years. And so what is the management's plan as to how to transmit this in their budget document? Is the 6% adjustment already going to be built in to the salaries of the employees, or is this going to be itemized as a below the line item to clearly show that this is the amount that we're requesting and that it's subject to legislative appropriation?
For the actual organic growth, it'll be built in.
Correct. That we understand.
Yes, and then for the pay adjustment, it'll be It'll be included, but it won't be actually built in. It'll be separated out, yeah, when we present it to the legislature.
Well, you can't have both. I mean, it should be, I think you may want to think of separating it because we don't want the employees to in any way think that, this is already automatically entitled. There's an entitlement. As you pointed out, the board doesn't have the authority to approve the pay adjustments because it's not authorized by statute, like what the Judicial Council is authorized. And so it's subject to, number one, legislative approval, and number two, legislative appropriation. And so we want to make that clear so that there's no false reliance that just because it's already built into their salary descriptions in terms of the proposal, that's what the board has approved, and that's what is what they're entitled to. I just don't want any false impressions. I want to make it very clear to our employees that we're going to work very hard, and management is working very hard, and that they're entitled to the pay adjustment because there's been a study that for pay equity and the other adjustments that have been made across the various branches of government, and that this is subject to legislative approval and legislative appropriation. And I just want to make that clear because when we approve the resolution, it should be with that clear understanding.
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. Okay. And so the 22% increase, I just want to again clarify and make it clear to all of us, and me included, includes the pay adjustment. And
Yes.
without this, it would be a 12% increase, according to Kathy, and that it's well within the percentage of the proportional impact that the budget of the public defender has in reference to its impact on the general fund available for appropriation of less than 1%, whatever that figure is. I think it was about 0.789%. I don't have it in front of me.
Yes, Your Honor. That's correct.
Okay. So if there are no other questions, I like to take it a proposal at a time. So we act on the Public Defender Service Corporation budget, and then we will turn it to APD. So although the resolution has it grouped together, the amount that the public defender is proposing to the board is $5,722,397, which includes the pay adjustment figures. And I would like to, at this time, entertain a motion to adopt the resolution with the PD's requests as presented.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I can second it.
All right, and it's been seconded by Ms. Kanata. All those in favor of adopting the resolution as proposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against? Okay, the ayes have it, and it's been unanimously adopted. All right, thank you, Steve, Kathy, and John, and Mr. Moreno. So any other comments that you would like to make in reference to the budget? Steve, one last opportunity.
Oh, no, I just want to thank the board for your continued support. We believe that this budget, obviously we're gonna have to fight tooth and nail before the legislature, but it really helps, and we'll take into consideration all the questions raised by the presiding, as well as we move forward with renewing any contracts for our contract attorney.
All right. Okay, thank you, Steve. So at this time, I will entertain our managing attorney, Anna Maria Gale, for the alternative public defenders proposed budget.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could turn to page 70. Oh, that's a little bit, there, here we go. So these two pages, 70 and 71, show our budget and what we've decided. One of the things that is different about this budget is we've actually added on the second page, security, surveillance, and camera maintenance. It's an add-on, it's $1,000. What we find is we need to have added security to our law firm. We have actually had some incidences and we need the extra security. So that is an add-on, but everything else in our operations is the same as we had last year's budget. So there's nothing new in that regard. Just to let you know as well, Your Honor, we did do the mandated that, well, we proposed the 7% for law enforcement and 6% for the way the public defender did. And it's my understanding that all of those will be backed up by the studies that have been done by the HR of public defender. So if there's any questions by the legislature, we'll have the backup for those increases. But that's the only increase that we've had in the in our proposed budget for next year. Everything else is pretty much a rollover. That's what everything else is like organic growth and the special pay and everything. The one thing I would like to ask the Judicial Council is there's one on page, let's see. I'll ask my management officer to talk about this, but what we have in our budget, 2 legal clerks in the budget. And throughout the pandemic, it's been shown, and it's simply because of no longer needing to do in-person things for most of the things, is we've had to really take advantage of the e-filings, e-servings, and all the e-stuff that we need to do. And it's become critical to have computer maintenance for all our computers, our servers. And this year we would like to convert one of the positions from a legal clerk to a computer maintenance person. It's the same FTE, but we would just have, instead of a legal clerk, it would be a computer tech that would help us in our filings and everything like that. So if you turn to the page on the legal clerk, let's see. 1 second, Your Honor. It would be page 84. There, see there's a legal clerk 1 position, and we would leave that vacant and then add a position in the management under the administrative duties would be 88. There we go, and be a computer tech 1. So I'll ask Mrs. Hattori to chime in so we can explain this in a more cohesive manner. Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, I'll do this real quick. I mean, it's pretty clear that the need for a computer technician, computer network person in the office is by high demand. Prior to or pre-pandemic, our front clerks were filing stuff in person, serving in person, but most of those things have already been taken over electronically and now goes directly to our legal secretaries. But what we did find is that we needed more of an in-house computer person post-COVID because of all of the technology that we now use to have meetings, to have e-filings, to have e-service. And so making that adjustment on our staffing pattern, especially since the legal clerk position was vacated and she got promoted to a legal secretary. This is the best opportunity for us now to actually put in that computer technician person that we really need in-house into our staffing pattern. Any questions? I try to sum that up really quick.
I don't have questions for Audrey.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. So our budget is basically if you go back to page 70, just shows the increases, and the increase is of 135,000 over the authorized appropriation level for FY 2022. I'm open for any questions, Your Honor.
All right, again, I will start with the presiding to see if you have any questions, PJ.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You don't have any contract attorney positions, do you, Annie?
What we do is we've hired Richard Dirks. He is on contract, and what we've done is he fills in the spot that we have open, like we use him for that spot that's open, and his contract expires in September. And he covers 2 courtrooms. He does not carry a caseload. He does not give advice or anything like that. He doesn't meet with clients. What he does is covers the magistrates and arraignments every day.
Okay, how much is that contract worth?
It's an attorney for step 1, Your Honor. Under the budget law, you can only, if you hire an attorney for, it has to be at step 1 with no benefits. So it is, let's see, whatever attorney for step 1, 1 second, Your Honor. It is $75,780.
Okay, you know, my position on these contract attorneys is the same that I posed with the public defender. I feel that this, you know, contract should be bidded out to the Guam Bar Association. Just to be fair to every member of the bar out there. You know, these are government funds, and we want to make sure that these contracts are not applied to who you know, but what you know. And I like to move also to move that these contracts be bidded out. You know, we do have a venue called the Guam Bar Association website, and I see when I look at the venue, go on that website, I do see job openings made available so that attorneys can apply for these positions. And so I like to also require that the alternate public defender, like the public defender, start you know, announcing these positions in public, so every attorney has the opportunity to you know, apply. I don't want favoritism or who you know, you know, because that is not very good here for the credibility of the offices. So I like to require that these bids be contracted out once these contracts are over in September or whatever they are, to be contracted out to the Guam Bar Association, like every regular bid. Because, you know, we do have a lot of attorneys that may be willing to apply for these jobs. You never know. And if they're not given this opportunity, and I think the law requires that they be given these opportunities, because, you know, this is taxpayers' money, that these, you know, that these be published. So I like to also highly recommend that these positions be contracted out once the current contracts are over.
Okay, no problem.
But I have no other questions as far as the current presentation is concerned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, PJ. And so again, Attorney Ekubi, I would if you have
Thank
any
you, Your Honor. I think Ms. Gill has already satisfied the requirement as far as the very small increase, and based on her representation that this is pretty much a status quo budget from the last year. I don't have any further questions with regards to the APD proposed budget. Thank you, Your Honors and trustees.
Thank you, Attorney Ekubi. And Trustee Donna.
I I feel the same with Attorney Kubi. I'm fine with it, sir.
All right. So let me say also, Annie, that I appreciate your fiscal notes, your footnotes. I think that's very helpful just in reference to the snapshot, and Kathy did it, of course, in terms of PowerPoint slides. But if the members just really go to page 68, you see the snapshot of under total appropriations that Ms. Gale has pointed out, and it shows a 10% increase in reference to the FY proposed budget as compared to the FY 2022. And Annie, that includes the pay adjustments within that 10% increase. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. So I think your budget is going to be very easily to defend and propose to the legislature. But again, do you separately present your budget when you go to the legislature?
Yes, we get separate emails to go to Senator San Augustine first, and we hash it out with him. We have a meeting with him, and then we do separately, usually on the same day, but it's just separately.
All right. So while it can be argued that if the legislature approves the appropriation, that they indirectly approve the adjustment, but just to be clear, so there is no issues, I would suggest that you include language that the legislature approves the salary adjustment because the Board of Trustees does not have the statutory authority, as pointed out by Kathy,
Okay.
to approve the pay adjustment. There's nothing in the statute that I can recall that gives us the authority to adjust the approve the pay adjustments.
Okay.
On top of approving a budget with the corresponding organic growth for FTE positions. We're talking about, separate pay adjustment increases, salary
Right.
increase. I'm not salary increase, but just across the board pay adjustment increase for all employees. But if there's something that the board members are missing and management wishes to point out that there is such an authority, please do so we can exercise that authority. But absent that, it's important that that language be also included. Number one, for the specific fiscal year, but going forward, if we can have an amendment in the statute, we will exercise it prudently. But in the meantime, let's make sure that the proper language is obtained for obtaining the approval of this pay adjustment. Then in addition to that, the corresponding appropriation to support that approval of the pay adjustment. So with that, I will call for the vote on a resolution. If you will bring up JT or whoever's controlling the PowerPoint. The way I'd like to do this, members of the board, is that I'd like them to entertain a motion to approve the APD's proposed budget for FY 2023 in the amount of $1,536,742. And after that, just as a matter of clarity, and I would like them to go back and just approve the consolidated resolution containing both proposed budget requests. So PJ, on the motion to adopt the APD's FY 2023 proposed budget request in the amount of $1,536,742. Is there a motion to adopt?
I so move, Mr. Chairman, to accept the proposal submitted by APD and the amount of 1,536,742.
All right,
I see.
there's been a motion,
And it's been seconded.
and it's been seconded by trustee Donna Muñoz-Canata. And so on the motion to adopt the resolution, please indicate your support by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, it's been unanimously adopted. So on the consolidated resolution, so that it can be transmitted as a single document to the legislature with the corresponding supporting documents. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number PDSC 02-22 as presented?
I'm sorry. I so move to adopt the resolution.
All right, it's been
second it.
moved by the presiding judge. Seconded. Donna, did you second that?
Yes, I did, sir.
Okay.
I second it.
Seconded by trustee Kanata. On the, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and so it's been unanimously adopted. Thank you, Attorney Ekubi, for staying back, and just on the nick of time, we are
Yes.
done with the vote on these very important matters. Not
Thank
that
you,
the other matters are
Chief
not important.
Justice and PJ and Ms. Kanata and Board, and thank you for the lunch. I'm sorry at this time I have to sign off, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Ekubi.
Bye-bye.
Bye. And so let's go back, if we can pull the agenda up, and so we can finish our business for today. And excuse me here. We will go back now to all business, and I will recognize our finance controller, Mr. Moreno, under financial status update. Mike, you are recognized.
Board and members of the management. For PDSC, for Public Defender Service Corporation and the alternate public defender, we have received our first and second allotment release for April on the 14th of April. We anticipate another release by next week. And we are operating at 93% of the requested budget. For the domestic violence program, we still have 4 funding sources: Stop 2020, Stop 2018 for sexual assaults, and Stop 2019. We also have the ICJR funding, which we have not tapped into until, which we will not be tapping into until Stop 2020 and Stop 2019 are exhausted by June of 2022. For the Elder Justice Center, receivables as of today are for the months of November through March for a total of $71,000. As we have received October's payment right before this meeting, we will continue to follow up on the release of the rest of the receivables with DSC, Department of Senior Citizens. And that is all for the reports on the finances.
Any questions for Mr. Moreno? There being none, we'll move on to the report from our Executive Director, Mr. Steve Vittori. Steve, you're recognized.
Thank you. So I did provide a table of stats showing the number of cases that we were appointed in the second quarter. The grand total really was 322. Includes felonies, misdemeanors, about 69 juveniles, which seems to be kind of high, and then 15 others, which include protective orders, war claims, and several other matters like that. On May 1st, we're going to be kicking off our Access to Justice grant program. We've received a very small grant from the first Jack grant, but we appreciate every dollar we got. And we're setting up video conferencing so that we can meet our clients that are detained at the Ganya, Miguel, and the BYA, as well as the women's facility. It's going to be accessible to PDSC, APD, as well as private attorney panel attorneys. I think we have one more system we're going to set up over there in their admin seg unit. That's post 6, which is if you've ever been there, you actually have to be physically escorted there, and it's in the basically at the shoe, basically the highest security section in the prison. And so we're going to have a Zoom capability to meet our clients that way. And it's been very helpful meeting our clients that way. We can share documents a lot easier. We can share videos of that we need to share with them easier than bringing in a laptop or showing them on your phone. So we're excited for that to kick off, and it's going to be available to the entire defense bar, at least our office, APD, and the private attorney panel. And we have our budget meeting May 31st with the finance chair, Senator Terlahi, I think. Sonogsi, rather. And I think APD's budget is also going to be discussed at that same meeting. So that's May 31st. And I think that's about, I don't really have anything else to add to that. Other than, I'm sorry, let me throw this in. So EJC is officially moved out of our office, as well as our domestic violence program. They have a rental space next to APD. And so, it'd be far more comfortable for our senior clients. It's far more accessible. And, the plan is to eventually move all our protective orders over there as well, so that it reduces the number of conflicts. What we've seen is that there are certain protective order clients that we cannot help because we represent the respondent in a criminal matter. And then there are certain criminal matters that we have to disqualify from because we get protective orders on behalf of petitioners. So it's going to cut down conflicts both ways. So they'll be able to help more victims of domestic violence, and our criminal side will be able to hold on to more criminal cases. So that's going to hopefully move forward in the next few weeks. All right, nothing further. If you guys have any questions, you can answer anything.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Steve. That was very helpful to me. So I'd like to give Mr. Haynes an opportunity on the Elder Justice Center component of the PD's report. If Ron, if you would like to make any statements.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I would like to say that we are in these new facilities, and actually, I guess we officially are here on May 1st, but we moved in last Friday. We began moving in, and so we're organizing the offices to better accommodate our clients. The statistics that you are showing right now is in response to some of your questions that you had asked. You could see that in March, we had opened 48 cases, worked on 100 cases. The closed cases is where we're really gaining. We closed 73 cases in March, and you can see the numbers of services we did complete as well. The wait list numbers you had asked about last time, and you can see there we are showing we don't have a wait list any longer. And by not having a wait list, what I mean by that is that we have contacted all of those on the wait list. We, there were some that we could not serve. There were some that declined services, and there were many that we did complete services. And by completing, I mean we had signed documents. We also did services for a number of people that we just gave advice and said, well, they may not have needed a will. They may not have needed what they were seeking, or they may have been seeking something that we weren't doing. The pending response from client column that you see there is we are waiting for them to respond to us. That is mainly the IPR. There's something missing in those documents yet, or they're just filling them out. They've just picked them up. The number of active cases, they are open and waiting for for a number of things. They may be waiting for them to provide a deed so that we can be sure of what we're doing on the will. They may be waiting for family to agree with what they're doing. So we are waiting on those. Right now, we probably have somewhere between 20 and 30 files that we're scheduling. We're scheduling them to get them in, and we'll get them signed. There is no wait list. One of the things that you asked about, Your Honor, the last time was how long were people waiting? And so we began to take a look at that in March. And I will say that the longest person in March that was waiting, their case was opened in April of 2021, and we just closed that March 3rd in 2022. And according to our records, the wait was largely due from the client's lack of communication, and they had actually made several attempts to schedule, and we had to continually reschedule them for various reasons. Our shortest case right now, in March, we opened up a case on March 29th and we closed it on March 29th. That was mainly because a gentleman had asked for services. We had those services ready. He came in for a signing and he brought his wife. Well, his wife had never contacted us, followed through. In fact, she was not yet 60. And so while she was there, she was of the right age. And I just looked over at her and said, you know, the best solution here is that we do a mirror will for the two of you. And so she said, yes, I would like that. She applied. We finished those services right there on the spot. Anyone calling in urgently now, we can do it immediately. And we do a lot of that. If someone called for services today and we're following through with what we asked them to do, it would probably take about 3 weeks and they would be finished if there's no urgent matter or nothing urgent about their case. So long as they continue to follow through. There is a huge number, as you see, of active cases, 151. If they all came in today, we'd have a lot of backlog, but they're not all coming in today. So we are handling them as they come, and we're able to keep up with that pace.
Well, I think that's all very positive, Ron, and I thank you for spending the time to prepare the figures. But I've just been doing very quick math here while you're speaking, and just to make sure that I understand the data. So in FY 2021, legal services was provided and 76 cases were closed. And when you compare that to FY 2022, even just the first 6 months, it's an excellent result. 131 cases were closed where legal services were actually provided. That's a great improvement in terms of the efficiency. And so very quickly, if I divide that, so we have now 22 cases per month. All I did was divide 6 by 131. Mm-hmm. And that's the average number of cases that are being closed with legal services, not to include those that don't, for whatever reason, they're no longer require service. And so you pointed out that there were 151 cases from FY 22, but there's also 15, Ron, from FY 2021. So that's 166 active cases. I presume that they are still requiring legal services. And so if you divide that by 22, what does that come out to? So about 7 months, 7.5 months to complete this so backlog, so to speak. 7.5 months. That's around, I think that's what it is. So am I reading the data correctly?
I think you could say that, Your Honor, if you want to place it on averages. However, the thing that is different is that if you were looking at the last 3 months, this past quarter, you see that in January we had 7 cases closed, which, is far below the 20 average, 22 average. But in February, we had picked up to 42. In March, we had 73. I will tell you that April will not see as big a number. We've moved, we had different outreaches and different things taking place, but it's still going to be a good number in April. So, to say, if we took all 166, is that going to take us 7 months? If all of them came to me today, I would say, no, it's not going to. We could actually, if we did it in time with March numbers, we'll be done in 2.5 months. So things have changed. We've got a larger staff, a staff that is, frankly, I can't account for the past staff, but I think these guys know what they're doing very well. And frankly, they carry me along with the tide, and we're just getting things done at a much quicker rate. Like I said, we're not going to do 73 in April, but we're going to do some good numbers. And I would say, even if they all came in all at once, in 3.5 months, we'll be done with them.
Well, let me just say that the trajectory is very positive, and if that is the case, as you say, that there continues to be improved efficiency. And so I want to commend yourself and the staff for, as I pointed out, the improvement over 2021. And when you compare even just the first 6 months, I was just averaging, I didn't have the breakdown. In terms of 2022, then the trajectory is going in a very positive direction. And personally, I want to thank you for that. So at this point, are there any other questions for either Steve, Mr. Hattori, or Mr. Haynes in reference to their reports?
Yeah, I just have a comment on Ron. Now that you've caught up on your wait list, the senior citizens centers are going to be open, I think, next month. Is there any intention to have outreach presentations or programs to present these services to the Manamco in the various senior citizen centers throughout the island? Or
Yes. Yes, Your Honor. I will say we have been in conversations already about that. We are hoping, we haven't gotten the equipment to do what our big vision is, which is to have something called Wills on Wheels, which we could actually bring it to the centers themselves. And if they're requesting a simple will, we can do it right then. While at the center, that would be a hope. We could certainly do powers of attorney, things, and living wills. As I think I said last time, we've taken our power of attorney and divided it into two, making one financial and one for healthcare. So we're actually doing two now. And I'm trying to meet with the banks to make sure that I am fulfilling all of their needs to keep up with that. But to your question, we are planning on going out and doing some outreaches at the senior centers as well as the other places that we have been, and giving them instruction. That is the hope. We're just waiting for some more direction from the senior centers themselves.
okay, and you're explaining, to many Manamco, power of attorneys is, I guess, not as familiar with them as possible. So I hope that you give the proper advice that if you give a general power of attorney to somebody, that person can act on his or her behalf. So, so I don't think too many people understand that situation. But anyway, I'll leave it up to you to explain those legal terms to them and what legal ramifications and consequences their actions may have if they do these things. Okay, and thank you very much. All of you are doing a good job as well. I agree with the CJ. Huh?
Your Honor, can I just add about the EJC? So we through a partnership with WEB, the Workforce Enhancement, project. They have about 10 Facebook portals that they are going to set up at the senior centers so that they could actually do video conferencing with them through Zoom if on the days that they don't actually go there in person. Because I know that they are planning on going out in person. May is Senior Citizens Month, so I know that they're going to be very busy in May. It's also Law Month as well, and so that's really exciting. I know that Ron's also looking into one of the biggest problems that they have is that many of their seniors are incompetent to execute a power of attorney, and they're looking at ways of assisting the public guardian in doing incompetent guardianships. And so that's once they take care of the wait list, which they've pretty effectively handled thus far, I think they're going to try to help the public guardian and do some incompetent guardianships just to make sure that the seniors who cannot execute a power of attorney still have some sort of assistance. So I think Ron's going to work on that next, right, Ron?
Yes, we've already started meeting and seeing where we can go, how we can help, because we do meet some of our clients we can't do a power of attorney because they're not competent any longer. And so we want to help the public guardian to provide those services.
All right. Any other questions? I think we've lost our other trustees, PJ. So,
Donna's
there's
still
Donna.
there.
Okay,
No, I'm
Donna.
here, sir.
Oh,
Sir, I'm
all
still
right.
here.
Sorry, Donna, your image kind of shifted on my screen.
Sorry, I'm here. Can you see me?
Okay. Yes, I
I'm trying
can.
to
Yeah.
find the screen.
Yeah.
I went to the agenda, that's why.
Any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Steve and Ron, for your reports. And at this time, we'll move on. And the next item under old business is deeds of gift. This was tabled from the last meeting. Can someone remind me what is it that we were going to discuss regarding this item?
Yeah, I think that was raised by our two active practicing attorneys, Ms. Jack Terlai and Ms. Eckelby. So can we just table them until they both come back or are present?
All right.
Your Honor, we
Yes.
we actually tabled the information on that because of the budget. We didn't want the meeting to go on for a lengthy time. So we just tabled that to our next meeting.
And Kathy, you had your hand raised. Yeah, thank you, Donna.
Yeah, Your Honor, that Trustee Kenneth is correct. I know that Mr. Forrest there were still some pending items, and Mr. Attorney Haynes has actually did a write-up on proposals for that particular deeds of gift. So the May meeting would be ideal. I'm not sure if Attorney Gell wants to go over her reports for the board. We have them available. They came in. I'm not sure if your honors have time and the trustees for Ms. Gell to go over her stats.
It
Is
didn't make
this
the
for-
packet, but we have it available, but don't worry.
Right, so we don't have it in our packet, Kathy. Why don't we just go ahead and table this until
Okay.
the May meeting so that we give a chance for Attorney Jackie Terlai and EQB to be present.
Okay.
And they seem to have a keen interest in expanding, the scope of services with our Elder Justice Center. And so we'll table this and until the next meeting. So with that, we're completed with new business. Any public discussion? Anyone in our public hearing room? I don't see anyone. And so the next meeting date is on Tuesday, May 24th at 12:30 p.m. Is there any other matter before the corporation that we have not discussed? There being none, at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second it,
moved.
sir.
Seconded. There being no objection, the motion is unanimously adopted. Thank you, everyone. Good luck on the legislative presentation. And if you would like myself, the presiding, or any member of the board to be present, please just reach out to the board. Thank you very much, and everybody have a
Thank
good
you. Be
day.
safe, everyone.